Okay, is everybody ready? Is everybody with me? We are going to do more perimeter and area today and some different kinds of area questions tomorrow, but then we're going to be kind of finished with that and we're going to move on to volume next week. At least that's our plan. Listen carefully. That means by the end of this week, by the end of tomorrow, you have to have you want to have a very good understanding of the difference between perimeter and area. We've already started working on this over a couple of days, so hopefully you're making some connections. But today could be a big day where things click for you. We have a shape here, and we're gonna find the perimeter and area of it. And after we do that, we're gonna put our pencil down and stop and look at it and say, look at how different these questions are. Like, look at how different it is when I find perimeter from when I find area. And that's what you want to get. Both are relatively simple and straightforward, but they're very different. And if you try to find the perimeter the way we find area, then it's going to go really badly. Okay? Does that make sense? So take what we've been doing so far, and let's try to really make the connections and have it click today, where you're really thinking about the difference between perimeter and area. So here's my first question. This is something you want to be able to answer. Everybody in here should be able to answer. What is perimeter and what is area? Just in general. I'm not saying what's the answer. It's like 50. No. Not looking for a number. What is perimeter?
The outside of a shape.
The outside of a shape. Good. What's another way you can say it? Who wants to add to that? Okay, good. We'll come back to that. What about for perimeters or any other way you might describe it differently? Like everybody could use different words, but still be on the right track. Do you think it was an accident that the first question we did when we talked about this was a security guard walking the perimeter of a building? What if you walked the perimeter of your property? What if you're a farmer and you're worried that your cows are getting out of their fenced area, so you walk the perimeter of it? Where are you walking? The outside, along the fence line. You don't walk all through the middle of the field, you just walk along the outside. And you want to know how long you walked. If this was the field, you would add this, plus this, plus this, plus this, plus this, plus this. You'd add those lengths together because that's what perimeter is. It's the length around the outside of an object, or think about it as the fence, or think about it as the perimeter of a building or a property or whatever you want to do, but it's the length. It's a length. And our trick for perimeter is we count the sides. So I'm going to do this again and I'm going to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm going to write that for perimeter. 6 sides. What does that mean I have to do for perimeter? Ashton.
Find the amount of centimeters for each side.
Yes! That means I need, in this case, the number of centimeters for 6 things. How many do you see up there, Donovan? 5? Thank you. Good. 4. Even if it was 5, it's not 6. So what would I do wrong if I did this? Because this is what people are going to do. I guarantee it on the test. Somebody's going to do this. What did I do wrong? Justin. Yeah, at least one. Why did I do that? Go ahead. Because it didn't give me 2 of the sides, but we've already seen how we can be detectives and figure out the other ones. But if you say to yourself, this shape has 6 sides, so I'm supposed to be adding 6 things, then maybe you'll avoid that mistake. How do I find the other 2 things that I'm missing? What do you think, Justin? 24 subtract 15. So all the way across here is 24 because there's a 24 over here. And if I take away this 15 from 24, I'll be left with that last part, which is what I want. This is the part that I want. And I think I agree with Justin. Does anybody else agree with Justin? What do you think? 24 minus 15. And what is 24 minus 15?
9.
So this is 9 centimeters. Now I'm going to tell you a secret right now. Sometimes these diagrams have, I'm just going to change this color so it stands out a little bit, are not drawn very well to scale. You've seen this a few times where like this is supposed to be 9 and this is supposed to be 7. That doesn't look right. That's okay. That's like whoever made this shape, which was probably me. I don't remember if it was me, but it probably was. Did a bad job making the shape. You know what I mean? Like that was my fault. I shouldn't have made it this bad. But so don't worry too much about that. If that happens, you can ask. In fact, if it's on a test, you can say like, is this out of scale? Is it okay that this is 9 and it's 7? If you're worried about that, ask. But in this case, we're not worried about how it looks. Sometimes people worry too much about that. Or sometimes the 9 ends up being longer than, like it looks longer than the 15. So they're like, well, that can't be longer. That might be the fault of the person who made the diagram. We usually try to do better than that, but in this case, I forgot. So, plus 9. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things now, but I'm supposed to have 6. So what's the last thing that we have to do, Jamarli? 19 take away 7. Nice. It's 19 all the way across. And if I take off the 7, what am I left with? So this is going to be 19 minus 7, 12. Okay, and so I take that 12. In fact, I'm going to do it like this. I got an idea. I'll make this one green so everything matches up nicely. And I'll say this is red plus 9 because it was red plus 12. There's number 6. I got 6 things now, and I can actually add those up with my calculator. (86) centimeters. Don't forget units. Think about what perimeter is. It's the distance around the outside of an object, the length. So if it's got 6 sides, you got to add 6 things together. What if it was a question like these are all fences, but this is the house? How long are the fences? What's the perimeter of the fencing? Then you wouldn't add the 19 because that's not a fence. Like think about the question. That's the kind of question you might see on a test. Think about the question. Which sides are you actually adding? How many sides does it actually have that you need to add up? That was for perimeter. Now let's talk about area. Area is different. How many shapes? Is there a name for this shape? No. This shape does not have a name. Is it on your formula sheet? Is there a shape that looks like that on your formula sheet? No. So, what do I have to do to find the area of this kind of figure? Justin, what do you think? Nice. I like what you're saying. Jamarli, what were you going to say? So these guys are saying the same thing. If I cut it into 2 shapes, now I'm going to tell you something, Justin, and everybody else, obviously. Square is a rectangle. So if you're finding the area of a square, you call it a rectangle and use that formula, right? So now I have 2 rectangles. I can find the area of those because I have a formula for those. And then what am I going to do with those areas? Add them together. So there's a couple of different ways you can do this, and I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to call this area 1, And I'm going to call this area 2. And I'm going to go area 1 is length times width. The length is 19. The width is 15. We'll figure that out. And I'm going to go area 2 is length times width because it's a rectangle as well. If it was a different shape, I'd use the other formula. And what's the length and the width of area 2? Riley. Nice, 9 and 7. Some people might think 24 because that's this side length, but I only want that part. And we figured out that part right there, 9. So 9 by 7. Okay, good. This part here is 9. So that's 9 times 7. We'll figure out that part. Use my trusty calculator. 19 times 15. So that one's 285. 9 times 7, this one's 63. And then the total area. What did we say we're going to do? Add them together. So that's area 1 plus area 2. Any questions about that? Remember what I said, when we're finished this, we're going to put our pencil down and we're going to look at how different those are. There's some similarities, but there's some differences. Perimeter is lengths. So I found all the lengths and I added them together. Area is not lengths. So I had to find the areas and add them together. For the area, I broke it up into shapes. I didn't do that for perimeter. Area, we broke it up into shapes and used the formulas. Perimeter, we did not. Remember yesterday when we scratched out the formulas for perimeter? This is why. We don't use them. We don't need them. I got 6 sides. I find 6 numbers and add them together. That's the difference. Okay. This one's very similar. I want you to give it a try. Perimeter and area. You can start with your favorite. See what you can get. Follow the same steps as the last question. Remember what we started with. Okay, lots of people are done the perimeter. So I want to ask you about this. Now, this is so interesting. Because as I walked around, I saw two answers that were very common. 44 and 50. How many people said 44? How many people, more of you, some of you aren't listening. How many people said 50? All right. What happened here? What were the steps that I guided you through for the first question that I think some people missed? Justin? Perimeter. And some people might have got something different. That's okay. What's the first step that I said to do? See how many sides, and how many sides does this one have? 6. Look at your sheet and count up how many things you added together. And go, I only added 5 things. You don't have to put your hand up for this, but how many people only added 5 things? The people who got 44, I think that's what happened. And that's an easy mistake. It's an honest mistake. It's like, you know perimeter, you understand this stuff, and you think to yourself, how did I make that mistake? But that's how we learn, is we reflect on those mistakes. So this should have 6 sides. What are the extra 2 sides that are missing? One of them is this side here, and one of them is this side here. How do I find them? The yellow side is going to be 14 minus 6, which works out to 8 meters. And the blue side is going to be 11 minus 5, which works out to 6 meters. And now I have 6 things. So I start at one side, 11 plus 14, and I'm going to go around in order just to make sure I don't count the wrong one twice or something like that. 11 plus 14 plus 5 plus 8 plus 6 plus 6, 50. Okay, take another minute to do area if you're not all the way done. I know some of you are, some of you are not. Remember, area is a little bit different. Okay, let's take a look at area. I know some of you, again, aren't all the way done, but we're going to take a look anyway. Something I want to point out is there's actually 3 different ways that we can do this one. I'm going to talk about 2 at first and just mention the third. So eyes up here, because I want you to see what's happening. How many people, and I want you to tell me, How many people cut the shape there? Okay, so a few, almost half actually of the class. How many people cut the shape here? That's about the same. So very interesting. Some people did it one way and some people did it the other. Do you think both will work? So I'll do it one way, and the people who did it the other, tell me if you get the same thing. Okay, I'll do this way because this is the one that I have it. Usually it's not easier one way or the other, so it depends on the way that you see it first. Okay, I'll call this area 1 and I'll call this area 2. So for area 1, I've got length times width. It's this rectangle here. So that's a 14 by 5. So length times width. Notice that with perimeter we were adding and with area we're multiplying. That's a very common thing that happens. And 14 times 5. They may know that one. Yep. Nice, 70. Okay, and then area 2, I'm going to make this one green. What is the size of that? That looks like 6 by 6. See, I had to find the extra 6. Don't say 6 by 11 because that would find this whole thing if I did 6 by 11, right? It would find this whole big thing. And I don't want that. So I only want this part here, which is 6 by 6, which is 36. And what's my last step? Add them together. Area total is area 1 plus area 2. You don't have to write it exactly the way I'm doing it, but it's kind of a nice way of doing it, which is 70 plus 36, which is 106. Anybody get 106? Nice job. And if you did it the other way, you got 106? Somebody did it one other way, and it's something that I'll talk about, and then we're going to do more of tomorrow. Somebody in here found, what color should I use? What color's left? Try green. Found this whole big shape. Okay? 14 by 11. And then what they did to find just the part we wanted was they cut out this and subtracted it, right? If I find a big area and then take the part I don't want and subtract it, what's left will be what I want. So that would work as well. We're going to look at that more tomorrow. We're going to see some questions where you have to do it that way tomorrow. But you could have done this question like that as well. Good. What's different about this question? It has an angle in it. So when I break it up into two shapes, I can't just break it up into two rectangles, can I? What are the shapes that I'm going to break it up into? A triangle and a rectangle. Now, some people will try to do this. That doesn't really help because that's still not shapes that I could do. Or I've seen people do this. That doesn't really help. That is two triangles, but I don't think that's the best way to do it. Where do I want to do it? Yes. You're right. It doesn't make it impossible, but it certainly makes it harder. Absolutely. And what do I want to do? Straight down. That's a nice way to describe it. So I go straight down. So I've got a rectangle here and a triangle here. Now this is for area. For perimeter, I don't need to do that. So I went straight to area this time for some reason. I guess it was on my mind because of the last one. So maybe we'll do area first. So if this is area 1 and this is area 2, what is the shape for area 1? This should be an easy question. Ethan, what's the shape of area 1? Rectangle. So what's the formula for area of a rectangle? Length times width. What's the length of the rectangle? Is it 13 or is it 10? Justin? 10, because 13 goes all the way across, and 10 is just the rectangle part. So 10, and what's the width? It's obviously 4. 10 times 4 is 40. Area 2. What's the formula for area of a triangle? Nice. Base times height divided by 2. What is the base and what is the height? This is the part where we got to do some thinking and 4 times 3. So this is the 4. Did I get that right? Where did the 3 come from? Nice, the rest of the 10. So 13, 10 goes across here. So I need 3 there, so they add back up to 13. Very good. So this is 3 times 4 divided by 2. I'm running out of space here, so that's 12 divided by 2, which is 6. And then the total area, as I add them together. Centimeters squared. Always remember that. I'm going to add that back onto this last one. I think the last one was meters, wasn't it? Meters squared. How am I going to do perimeter? What's the trick for perimeter? What's the first thing I want to think about for perimeter? How many sides? Ashton, do you know how many sides this one has? It's got 4. Do you want to look at them with me? 1, 2, 3, 4. Do I know the lengths of all 4 of those? I don't. I know the 4. I know the 10. I know the 13. I don't know this one over here. So we've got to find that one. How am I going to find that length? You would. Very nice. Have to do Pythagorean Theorem to find this. So sometimes, if you're good at visualizing, you might be fine. If you're not as good, it could help to like redraw the triangle off to the side. And we already found the dimensions. This is 4 and this is 3. So what am I going to do to find that last side length? Call it x. You add them and you square it because I'm looking for the longer one. So I add them. So I get 4 squared plus 3 squared. And I'm going to have to take the square root of that, right? What does that work out to? Does anybody know? 5. Nice. 16 plus 9, which is a square root of 25, which is 5. So this last one works out to 5. And now I can easily find the perimeter. 4 things. 4 plus 10 plus 5 plus 13. 4 plus 10 plus 5 plus 13. Whoops. 32 centimeters. Fantastic. Any questions about that? Okay, I'm going to stop there. We've got another one, but I want you to do a little bit of work on your own. This is a challenge. This one says just determine the area, so you could try it, and maybe we'll take that one up after. It's a trickier one. You got to think about what shapes it's made up of, and it's not straightforward because one of the shapes is a bit funky, but it's something interesting to think about. And I'm going to give you some more practice on just finding perimeter and area of what we call composite shapes.